Good day, everyone, as well as to our instructor in this course, Ma'am Jessica Astilio. Good day to you, ma'am. So I am the fourth reporter in this module, which is all about the laws concerning marriages and family. So I am assigned to discuss about chapter 3, which is all about the void and voidable marriages. So before anything else, let me read the learning objectives. So at the end of the discussion, the students must be able to first is define and differentiate void and voidable marriages. Second is develop the ability to analyze case scenarios involving marriage validity, applying relevant articles from the family code to determine whether a marriage is void or voidable. And lastly, cultivate an appreciation for the importance of legal frameworks in protecting individual rights and societal norms regarding marriage. So let's proceed to the introduction. So marriage is a vital institution with significant legal and social implications. So as with that, marriage is also an important part of the society, so influencing both legal rights and social norms. So understanding the differences between void and voidable marriages is crucial in family law for us to understand what is the key differences between the void marriages as well to the voidable marriages. So as these distinctions have significant implications for individuals and families. So now let's compare void and voidable marriages and identify their key differences. So first is the void marriages. So these are marriages that are not recognized or considered invalid from the very beginning. So this means they have no legal standing at all. So example ani includes marriages involving mga minors. So katong mga tao nga nag-edad or mga bata nga nag-edad og 17 below. So those marriages or also marriages conducted by someone who is not authorized to perform them. Such marriages are treated as if they never occurred. So in contrast, ang voidable marriages are valid until ang usa ka partner mo annul sa isa ka partner. So this can be annulled due to reasons like psychological incapacity, where one partner cannot fulfill marital duties, or misrepresentation like lying about important facts. So for example, ani is kanang identity, mistaken identity, or kanang namutbot kasi mong partner about your true identity. So for instance, if someone marries believing their partner has a different identity, so that marriage can be annulled. So in this chapter, we will also be able to explore the relevant articles of the family code that define void and voidable marriages, their implications, and their importance in protecting the individual rights and societal norms. So by understanding these concepts, students will be better prepared to analyze real-world scenarios and engage in informed discussions about marital law. So now let's proceed directly to Article 35. So ani nga article gi-indicate area ang mga marriages nga void or invalid from the very beginning. So first will be those contracted by any party below 18 years of age even with the consent of parents or guardians. So those marriages nga nag-involve og for example isa ka partner o isa ka kanang spouse or both of the spouse were kanang minors, of course there it is considered as void or invalid. So even if na consent sa parents, it is not recognized gihapon, legally recognized since minor man ang gipangkasal. So next is those solemnized by any person not legally authorized to perform marriages unless such marriages were contracted with either or both parties believing in good faith that the solemnizing officer had the legal authority to do so. Also, marriages nga ang nag-solemnize nila is duly authorized is considered as void unless ang usa sa kanang gikasal or both sa gikasal ning tuo nga kanang tawhana is kanang authorized siya nga mukasal nila. So that is what good faith means. So kanang sincere ang inyong intention or kanang sincere ang inyong pagtuo niya nga kanang legalize siya or authorized even if dili siya authorized. So kanang gipatuo mo niya nga authorized siya pero dili di ay. Next is also those marriages that had been solemnized without license except those covered the preceding chapter. So of course, as Miss Jacqueline Lamoste had mentioned in his her rather reporting earlier that there's exemptions with regards to kaning regarding sa license. So there's kanang mga marriages nga exempted aning mga license, so pwede sila ikasal without license, such as for example katong couple nga kanang nag-ipon sila within 5 years, so kung makasal sila even if wala sila license. So next is those bigamous or polygamous marriages not falling under Article 41. Next is those contracted through mistake of one contracting party as to the identity of the other. So if one person in the marriage mistakenly believes they are marrying someone else or due to confusion about identity, that marriage is void. So let's take this for example. A woman thinks she's marrying Eduardo Laugo but actually marries his brother Eduardino Laugo. So this marriage can be declared void because of the mistaken identity. So next is those subsequent marriages that are void under Article 53. So subsequent marriages refer to the act of marrying again after having been previously married. So this refers to marriages that are declared void based on previous legal provisions that can be found in Article 53 of the Family Code, which will be discussed by Ms. Ana Rose Omambak, I guess. So for example, if a person marries again after their first marriage was declared void under Article 53, so that subsequent marriage would also be considered as void. So now let's proceed to Article 36 of the Family Code. So this article states that a marriage is considered void if one party was psychologically incapacitated of the time of the marriage, meaning they could not fulfill essential marital obligations due to mental health issues. This incapacity also can be recognized even after the marriage has taken place, and it can also be annulled as void. So, for example, if a person marries while suffering from a severe mental illness, that prevents them from understanding the commitment of marriages since wala man sila sa saktong pamuot. So, and this condition is later diagnosed, so the marriage can be annulled as void. So, another example, so if ang usa ka tawo ning enter sa usa ka marriage while nasa ay murag temporary nga murag psychological crisis such as depressed kintaisiya, which impairs their ability to consent fully. So this could also lead to marriage being declared void upon later evaluation of their mental state. So aning article, it doesn't it is not necessary nga during jud sa wedding man notice nga na mental incapacity ang usa ka spouse or usa ka individual nga ning na gikasal. So even if after na sa kasal, void gyapon siya if mo file lang ang ang katong for example ang asawa mo file og annulment since iyahang bana is mental incapacitated nga na, so pwede na nga void or considered as invalid, so mapawalang bisa ang ilahang kasal. So next is Article 37. So marriages between the following are incestuous and void from the beginning, with the relationship between the parties be legitimate or recognized by law or illegitimate. So incestuous means sexual relationships or marriages between close relatives who are prohibited by law or social norms from marrying each other. So first is between ascendants and descendants of any degree. So ascendants means, for example, ang imuhang ascendants is your parents. So ang ascendants po sa imuhang parents is your grandparents. So also ang nakalahian ani sa ascendants o ang descendants, kay ang descendants is ang imuhang descendants, for example, is imuhang anak. So ang descendants sa imuhang anak is ang imuhang apo in the future. So also marriages between siblings, brothers and sisters, or whether they share both parents, for example, is full siblings or on one parent or half siblings ra. So for example, ani is if a man marries his biological sister, that marriage is void because it is incestuous. So similarly, if a woman were to marry her father or son, that marriage would also be considered void due to the direct familial relationship. So these prohibitions are in place to uphold social norms and prevent potential harm associated with incestuous relationships. So next is Article 38 of the Family Code. So aning article nag-outline siya sa specific marriages that are considered void from the beginning due to reasons of public policy. So these marriages are invalid regardless of whether the relationships involved are legitimate or recognized by law, or illegitimate or not legally recognized. So kaning article na say mga several categories. So first is the collateral blood relatives. So marriages between collateral relatives such as cousins or igagaw up to the fourth civil degree are void. So this means that if two people are related as cousins or mga mag-aunts ba, uncles or siblings of those cousins, they cannot legally marry. So for example, a marriage between first cousins is not valid. So next is the step parents and stepchildren. So marriages between a step parent and their stepchild are also void. So these rules is in place to maintain clear family boundaries and avoid potential conflicts. So ang example ani niya is a man marries his wife's daughter from a previous relationship. That marriage is considered void. So next will be the parent-in-law and children-in-law. So marriages between parents-in-law and their children-in-law are prohibited as well. So for example, ang mother-in-law is iyahang pakasalan ng iyahang son-in-law, so dili na valid nga marriage. So it is not legally recognized and it's void. So next is adopting parent and the adopted child. So a marriage between an adopted parent and their adopted child is void to protect the integrity of the adoptive relationship. So ang example ani is, for example, ang usa ka bae nag-adopt siya o bata. So she cannot marry that child. So next is surviving spouse of an adopting parent and adopted child. So marriage between an adoptive parent and their adopted child is void to protect the integrity of the adoptive relationship. So for example ani is, for example si Eduardo nag-adopt siya og bata. So si Eduardo dili niya pwedeng pakaslan nga bata in the future kay it will be considered as void or not legally recognized. So next is the surviving spouse of an adopting parent and adopted child. So since sa ika-4 nga category nagisgot man ang adopting parent and adopted child. So now ato pong hisgutan ang what if ang surviving spouse ra sa adopting parent. So these provision also applies to marriages involving the surviving spouse of an adopting parent and the adopted child. So example ani, if an adopting father dies, his widow or iyang asawa nga nabiyuda cannot marry his adopted child. So next is the surviving spouse of the adopted child and the adopter. So similarly, if ang marriage is between the surviving spouse of an adopted child, dili gyapon na siya considered as valid. So it is considered as void. So example ani, if an adopted child dies, so their spouse cannot marry the person who adopted them. So now let's proceed to the adopted child and the legitimate child for the adopter. So marriages between an adopted child and the legitimate biological child of their adopter are also prohibited. So example ani is, an adopted son cannot marry his adoptive sister if she is his biological sibling. So now let's proceed to the adopted children of the same adopter. So marriages between two adopted children from the same adopter are considered void as well. So example ani, for example, duha ka bata giampon sa sa couple, then kanang duha ka bata dili nila pakaslan ang usag-usa in the near future, since their marriage will be considered as invalid or not legally recognized. So next is number 9 is murder related to marriage intentions. So lastly, if one party has killed the spouse of another, kaya ang iyang intention is to marry that person, i-consider gyapon na nga marriage is void. So, example ani, if someone kills their partner's spouse intending to marry that partner afterward, so this marriage would be invalid due to public policy concerns. So now let's proceed to Article 39. So the action or defense for the declaration of absolute nullity of a marriage shall not prescribe. So this article states that there is no time limit for filing a case to declare a marriage null and void. So this means that anyone can ask the court to declare that their marriage is invalid at any time. So regardless of how long it has been since the marriage had took place. So this provision was amended to ensure that individuals can seek legal recognition of their marriage's nullity without worrying about a deadline. So for example, if a person realizes many years after their wedding that they were married under conditions that make the marriage void, such as for example like marrying while one partner was still married to someone else, they can still file for nullity of that marriage. So this is important because it protects the individuals from being stuck in a legal marriage that has no validity, allowing them to remarry or resolve other legal matters related to their marital status. So, ang example ani is, consider a man named Eduardo who got married to Jacqueline 10 years ago. So after some time, Eduardo discovers that he was actually still married to his first wife when he married Jacqueline, so making his second marriage void due to bigamy. So um, nabilong ning bigamy, diba, as per stated in the Article 35 nga mga marriages na considered void at the very beginning. So under Article 39, Eduardo can go to the court at any point in time and file a petition to declare his marriage to Jacqueline null and void. So there is no deadline for him to do this. So even if kana magpaabot pa sila pila ka years after the marriage, he still has the right to seek this legal declaration. So if ang court mo agree niya, it will officially state that his marriage to Jacqueline was never valid. So now let's proceed to Article 40. So, the absolute nullity of a previous marriage may be invoked for purposes of remarriage on the basis solely of a final judgment declaring such previous marriage void. So, kani nga article nag-state nga if ang ilahang previous marriage kay gi-declare na sa court nga null and void, so pwede ni nilang gamiton as their basis na magpakasal og balik. So this means that for someone to legally marry again after a previous marriage, so they must first obtain a final court judgment nga para ma-confirm nila nga ang ilahang marriage is invalid or was invalid. So next is Article 41. So kaning article nag-state nga ang marriage is considered as null and void if it is contracted by a person who is still legally married to someone else. However, there are exceptions to this rule. So if the previous spouse has been absent for example, upat ka sunod-sunod nga tuig, so kanang the person wanting to marry believes in good faith that the absent spouse is already dead. So ang nahabilin nga spouse, or for example ang asawa, ganahan siya magpakasal og balik, so pwede silang legally kasal legally since 4 consecutive years man nga nawala ang iyahang bana, then wala pagyapon mo appear. So in cases where the absent spouse disappeared under the circumstances nga ang katong giadtuan is na kanang danger of death, for example is nangisda ang iyang bana, then nag-uugbaw, then after anang adlaw wala na makit-i, so within 2 years ra ang kanang requirement. So now let's proceed to Article 41. So this article states that a marriage is considered null and void if it is contracted by a person who is still legally married to someone else. However, kani nga article na ni sa exceptions. So for example, if the previous spouse has been absent for like upat ka sunod-sunod na nga tuig, and for example, the spouse nga nabilin wants to remarry again, tuo siya nga patay na jud ang iyahang bana, so pwede ang asawa magpakasal og balik. So in cases where the absent spouse disappeared under circumstances like kanang naay danger of death, so only 2 years ra nga absence ang required para ang nahabilin nga spouse is magpakasal na og balik. So to remarry legally, the present spouse must also file a summary to the court proceeding to obtain a declaration of presumptive death for the absentee spouse. So for example, let's consider a couple named Rico and Heidi. So they have been married for 25 years. So Rico works overseas in, for example, in Italy, but nawala siya og galit after his contract ends. So and Heidi has no news of him for like for example mga 6 years na despite her efforts to find him. So after those years, Heidi finds love again with another man named Ayan and wants to marry him. So to do this legally, Heidi must first prove that Rico is presumed dead. So this means that si Heidi dapat nasa mga evidences nga murag mag-support nga si Rico is dead na. So now let's proceed to Article 42. So kaning article nag-outline siya sa mga procedures and consequences if ang katong absent nga spouse nga na-mention, for example sa Article 41, reappears after the other spouse has entered into a subsequent marriage. So according to this article, if a person has remarried based on the declaration of their previous spouse's presumptive death, so that subsequent marriage will automatically end up upon the recording of an affidavit confirming the reappearance of the absent spouse. So, however, this termination is only effective if there is no existing court judgment that annulled the previous marriage or declared it void from the beginning. So, the affidavit must be recorded in the civil registry where the parties to the subsequent marriage reside, and all interested parties must be notified. So if there is any dispute regarding the fact of reappearance, it may need to be resolved in the court. So for example, consider a woman named Alana who married Mark Erico. So Mark Erico goes missing for like mga unom katuig na. So after mga unom katuig, Alana believes he is dead and files for a declaration of presumptive death. So the court grants her request, allowing her to remarry another man named Ayan. So Alana and Ayan get married based on this declaration. So now kanang si Mark Erico unexpectedly returns after being away for 7 years. So for Alana's marriage to Ayan to be automatically terminated, Mark Erico must file an affidavit or reappearance stating that he is alive. So once kani nga affidavit is ma-record na siya sa civil registry, so kung asa nagpuyo si Ayan o si Alana, their marriage will end unless there was already a court judgment annulling Mark Erico and Alana's original marriage or declaring it void. So now let's talk about Article 43. So the termination of the subsequent marriage referred to in the preceding article shall produce the following effects. So first is the legitimacy of the children. So any children born from the subsequent marriage before it was terminated are considered legitimate gihapon. So this means they have the same right as children born to legally married parents. So example ani, if si Heidi and Ayan have a child together after Heidi's first husband is declared presumptively dead, that child will be recognized as legitimate gihapon, even if si Heidi was first marriage is later proven to be valid. So next is the dissolution of property. So the property or shared assets from the subsequent marriage will be dissolved and divided. However, if ang usa ka spouse ning enter an marriage had the bad faith, for example, kanang kibaw sila nga kasal pa sila sa legally sa itong previous nila nga partner, they may lose their share of the property to the children from that marriage or their previous spouse's children. So, for example, if Ayan knew that Heidi was still married when they married and this is proven, so he could lose his claim to any shared property, which would instead go to their child or Heidi's children from her first marriage. So third, the validity of donations. So gifts that were given, for example, during sa kasal, remain valid unless the recipient acted in bad faith. If one spouse acted in bad faith, any gifts made to them can be revoked by the law. So example ani is, for example, si Elena gave Mark Erico a car as a wedding gift, and it is later determined that Mark Erico acted in bad faith, or like for example kasal kay baw pa si Mark Erico nga valid or legally married pagyapon siya sa iyahang asawa before. So it means nga si Mark Erico rather acted in bad faith, so he could lose ownership of that car nga gihatag ni Alana niya. So fourth is the insurance beneficiary rights. So the innocent spouse or the one who did not act in bad faith can revoke any insurance policy designations that name the other spouse as a beneficiary. So even if that designation was supposed to be irrevocable. So an example ani is, for example, si Elena had named Mark Erico as her insurance beneficiary, but later discovers he acted in bad faith, or like for example kay bawd aware si Mark Erico nga kasal pa siya sa iyang previous nga wife. So si Alena pwede niyang usbon kan ang designation, then tangtangon si Mark Erico as her insurance beneficiary. So lastly is the inheritance rights. So the spouse who entered into the subsequent marriage in bad faith cannot inherit from the innocent spouse. So under any circumstances, whether through a will or the state succession or by law or in state succession. So for example si Mark Erico, he acted in bad faith. For example, kibaw jud siya or aware jud siya nga kasal pa siya sa iyahang sa previous nga wife. So dili siya maka-inherit sa iyahang kanang second nga gipakaslan. So for example, if another example is if Alena dies and it is found that Mark Erico acted in bad faith regarding his marital status, he would not inherit anything from her estate. So kani nga mga provisions aims to protect the individuals and the children involved in marriages that may have started under questionable circumstances, while ensuring fairness in property distribution and inheritance rights. So that ends my discussion. Thank you for listening.